my scale, that becomes tougher. You're starting to get into the tens of millions of dollars. So we think there's a market for us. There's almost an all-you-can-eat market for what we do. We could go to 500 million, but we don't have the capital. And so you start getting into that kind of capital, and it's not that readily available. And so we can get some, but you start.
Is there I'm not familiar with the model. Is there a revenue-producing model built into yours?
Yeah, so it's the revenue side's there, but you actually still need growth capital. You have to cash flow your growth, because we provide services to school districts, and so you provide the service, and there's a lag time before you get paid. Right. You have to have some infrastructure and and some of that sort of thing. So the thing will break even or make a little bit of money, the model, without the capital, but you need. It's kind of like you need the plant and equipment piece.
And that's not trivial.
Yeah.
No, that's right.
Betsy, what's your experience?
My experience is that there are, we'd love to be dinosaurs, but there's not enough press yet from the private sector to really begin to address the social problems that need to be addressed. Although there's progress, and I think all of us, both by deed, like people who have crossed the line or go back and forth, would say that there's progress in getting the private sector more interested in solving social problems and in getting the not-for-profit sector more interested in being business-like. I mean, there's a spectrum, and we're all working for the sweet spot in the middle.
Sorry, what do you mean by dinosaurs?
He had said, our
That was a rude comment I made.
Our nonprofits dinosaurs because, in their efforts to
because the real action
grow businesses. Is the real action on the private side? I don't think so, because partly because of what Adlai said, that there's still some advantage and certainly a lot of passion on the part of nonprofits, and partly because people like, well, probably you too, I don't know your history, but these two both left the private sector because they got old and they wanted to do something that really made a difference. There's just a lot of reasons why.
So it's not even about the nonprofit or for-profit, it's the people that are in there.
I think it's a big part about people, and it's also about the recognition that there's something for everybody in the middle, and reason for giving up the
Just a quick question about your perspective. Given these trade-offs, what's your view on the L3C business structure?
The what?
The L3C, I'll jump on that first. My view of it is that it was a great idea for drawing attention to what I'm going to keep calling the sweet spot, or hybrids. And it's really worked well as a marketing tool.
Does everybody know what she's talking about? Can you explain?
Sure. It's basically an organization structure that's a hybrid between a corporation and a not-for-profit, and it was created by some folks who were trying to make it easier for foundations and venture firms that were interested in socially responsible investments, make it easier for them to invest in what were effectively nonprofit organizations doing something that they wanted investment capital for. And the structure has been legislated in, I think, 5 states.
5 states.
So far, and but more than that, it's created a lot of conversation, which I actually think is making a bigger difference than the structure. What do you think?
I agree. I think it's built to get around certain tax laws, federal tax laws, in terms of make it easier for foundations to make investments that will earn a return back to the foundation, rather than what we see as sort of the PRI model, the program-related investments, that sort of gets around it. But I want to respond to what you said and sort of open this up. What did you hear this morning that would lead you to believe that businesses are addressing social issues? Did you hear anything in this panels this morning? I mean, I heard that Pepsi wants to get rid of sugar in a few years. And I heard
Toyota.
that, what?
Toyota
wants to,
they sent $500 million to Haiti right off the bat.
Well, that's philanthropy.
I
get philanthropy.
And so they want to do that.
Yeah, I get philanthropy, but I mean, terms of really addressing the social issues.
Philanthropy on the other end to receive it.
Clorox's response to, Clorox's response that I heard this morning to poison detergents was to create a healthy line. Not to get rid of that, but to create a healthy line. And in fact, he was very specific that it was perception that was fixed by creating that healthy line. And in fact, they're now selling more of the other stuff. So I didn't hear where businesses are actually making a forward step in this for social change.
Yeah.
I was, go ahead.
Yeah, just in education world, there was this shift 10 or 15 years ago for like Edison schools, kind of for-profit stuff, and under the Bush administration there was more stuff, and now the sort of pendulum swinging back, and so school districts and education is, it's a second biggest industry in the country next to healthcare, and so it's an enormous market, but the market is really for nonprofits to serve that. The public education is very skeptical of for-profit education companies. So you have some fairly high-profile ones like Sylvan and so forth, but they're relatively niche players. So really the nonprofits, College Board, I mean, there's some billion-dollar nonprofits in education.
Sure.
Yeah, there's hospitals that, we say thank God for the government, despite all the things that are wrong with it and the way they do it. They do a lot. They do about 30% of our funding comes from the regional center and from the Department of Rehabilitation, where clients are referred to us, and our mission is to create jobs for people with disabilities. I mean, that's part of the mission that we have, and we're real good at doing that. We're real good at training people to do janitorial, to do we find out what they can do, and that's what makes the difference for us. I mean, we have a incredibly noble mission, and I know Randy, he's dependent on the government too. We're waiting on the state government, and that weighs heavily on what's going to happen in July when the state budget kicks in and they're $20 billion out. Are we still going to get that kind of funding? Well, we may not, but we're still going to do that mission. We're going to figure out how to do it, and we're very efficient at it. We have a very low overhead. We have 91.7%, according to our latest audit, goes to the mission, to the things that we do, and so and we're always trying to find different kinds of things that we do. We got into document destruction recently, and so now we have, I think the last count, we have 50% of the documents from all of the hospitals in Orange County, which are quite a few. And so that's a lot of paper to shred.